It was a Tuesday night. The kids were asleep upstairs, their bedroom door cracked just enough to let the hallway night light through. I'd just finished washing the last dish, drying my hands on a towel when she walked in, hair tied up, face calm, almost serene. "We need to talk," she said, folding her arms like a manager about to fire someone. I nodded. "Okay." She didn't sit, didn't hesitate. "I'm not happy, Mark. Haven't been for a long time." I didn't say a word. "There's someone else," she added, watching me. Like a scientist observing a specimen. "We've been seeing each other for 6 months. I stared at the floor. I felt the room shift, not spin. Just change, like gravity had been rearranged. "I've already spoken to a lawyer," she went on. "We're filing next month. I'm asking for the house, primary custody, and full child support." My throat tightened, but I didn't flinch. She smiled, not cruelly, just confidently. "Don't bother trying to fight it. You don't have anything on me. I've been careful, I've thought it all through." I looked up at her then. Her eyes were dry, clear, like this was a business meeting and not the end of a marriage. "You think you'll walk away with everything?" I said quietly. She tilted her head. "I know I will." Inside, I felt like the floor had opened beneath me, but I nodded slowly, towel still in my hands. "Okay," I said. That was all. No yelling, no threats. But in that moment, something changed, not just in the room, in me. The days that followed felt unreal. She moved through the house, like a queen already dividing her spoils, casually calculating furniture, casually claiming space. The guest room became her temporary office, stacked with legal folders, divorce paperwork, and overpriced coffee cups. I'd hear her on the phone with her attorney, rehearsing her victimhood like a script. I was emotionally neglected. I raised those kids mostly alone. She wasn't subtle. She didn't have to be. The custody filing came in first. Sole custody, supervised visits, child support calculated like I was some absent billionaire. Then the financial demands, alimony, school tuition. Full control of our joint accounts. She moved fast, efficient, like she'd done this in her head 100 times before. I said nothing. I slept on the couch, made the kids breakfast, went to work, smiled when I had to, but inside, something hardened. The pain was still there, sharp in the chest, a dull burn behind the eyes, but it wasn't chaos anymore, it was clarity. I made 2 calls. The first was to a family attorney, calm, methodical, ruthless in the way a surgeon is with rot. He listened, asked questions, and started building. The second was to a private investigator, discreet, experienced. He didn't ask why, he just said, "I'll find what you need." That night, I sat in the dark after the kids went to sleep, staring out the living room window. She thought I was breaking, but I wasn't. It arrived. On a Thursday morning, a plain manila envelope, no return address, no warning. She found it on the kitchen counter, right where I'd left it, next to her almond milk latte and stack of custody forms. I watched her open it from the hallway, unseen. First, a flicker of confusion, then her eyebrows pulled in as she flipped through the contents. High-resolution photographs, time-stamped and geotagged, screenshots of deleted messages, cloud backups of conversations that weren't meant to be seen again, hotel receipts, bank transfers she thought I'd never trace, and the audio, her voice, laughing softly, admitting it all during a call she never knew was recorded. She stopped flipping, her face drained. I could almost hear the gears grinding in her head. How did he get this? When? What else does he have? She didn't say a word to me that day, but her attorney called twice before noon, then 5 more times before dinner. She took the calls behind closed doors now, her voice quieter, more careful. For the first time in weeks, she didn't walk like a victor, and I didn't need to raise my voice. I didn't need a scene. The evidence spoke for itself. The balance had shifted. I tucked the kids into bed that night while she sat at the dining table, phone pressed to her ear, a pen trembling slightly in her hand. The war she thought she'd already won? It had just begun. The next few days were a spectacle. She tried everything. First came the rage. Wild accusations flung in my direction like knives. "You invaded my privacy. This is illegal. I'll ruin you for this." She shouted loud enough for the kids to hear. I stayed quiet, recorded everything, handed it to my attorney. Then came the tears, the carefully staged phone calls to her friends, loud enough for me to overhear. "I can't believe he's doing this to me. I gave him everything. He's trying to take the kids from me." The script had flipped, but she was still acting. She even sat our daughter down one evening and whispered, "Daddy's being really mean to Mommy right now. But don't worry, I'll protect you." That was the last straw. I sat both kids down that night, calmly, without anger. I told them the truth, age-appropriate, honest. Mom and I are going through something very hard, but no matter what, both of us love you, and I will always be here to keep you safe. They nodded, quietly. Kids understand more than we give them credit for. Then her attorney called mine. Suddenly, her team wanted to revisit the terms of the divorce. They proposed a new deal, more fair, they said, which meant less damaging to her. My answer was simple, no. She had built her entire plan on the belief that I would fold, that I'd grovel, beg, compromise. But I wasn't that man anymore. I was the one protecting our children now, from manipulation, from chaos, from watching their father become a punching bag in his own home. The chessboard had changed, and I wasn't playing defense anymore. The conference room was all glass and steel, cold, professional, impersonal, just as it should be. She came in first, dressed like she was heading to a charity gala, perfect hair, tailored blazer, and that same performative sadness she'd started wearing like perfume. Her attorney followed, expression tight, eyes already wary. My lawyer and I sat opposite, calm, collected. It didn't take long. I just want what's fair, she began, her voice cracking at the edges. I was blindsided by his hostility. He's trying to destroy me in front of our children. I didn't say a word. My attorney, Mr. Langston, quiet, gray-haired, deadly, opened his folder and slid a slim packet across the table. Let's clarify what's fair, he said, his voice like ice water. This is a summary of documented infidelity, financial misconduct, and attempts at manipulating custody arrangements. He waited a beat, then added, if we go to trial, the full documentation will be entered into evidence. Her attorney flipped through the pages, slowly at first, then faster. The room changed, the mask slipped. Her posture stiffened, her lips parted in a silent breath. The color in her face faded by degrees. Her attorney's voice dropped, now cautious. I think we should consider private mediation, he said. There's no need for the children to be exposed to the truth. Langston interrupted. That was your client's choice when she made this public and aggressive. Across the table, I watched her blink hard. Once, twice. The tears weren't landing this time. Her performance was cracking, and in that silence, I saw something new, fear. She finally understood. This wasn't her game anymore, and I wasn't the same man she thought she could ruin. The next evening, she knocked softly on the door to my home office. No makeup, no designer clothes, just a sweater and tired eyes. She stepped inside without waiting. I don't want this to get uglier, she said, voice low. Can we talk? Just you and me, not lawyers. I set my pen down, said nothing. For the kids, she added, folding her hands. We were happy once. You were my best friend. I don't know what happened, but I don't want to hurt you anymore. Maybe we could work out something. Privately, I studied her face, the softened tone, the hint of moisture in her eyes, the familiar way she tilted her head, all pieces from a toolkit she'd used before. But this time, it didn't land. You tried to destroy me, I said, calmly. You weren't just leaving. You were planning to take everything, the house, the kids, my future. She looked down, silent. I'm not here for revenge, I continued. But I won't forget what you tried to do. I protect what matters, our children, and what's fair. She nodded slowly. But I saw it, the flicker of frustration behind her eyes. The act had failed. 2 days later, the retaliation came. A welfare check, 2 officers at my door, just making sure everything was okay at this residence after a report of distress. I knew the script. So did my lawyer. Then the social media posts followed, vague yet sharp. Some people wear a nice face in court but are monsters behind closed doors. Friends began texting. My sister sent screenshots. It was her last card. Smear me when she couldn't break me. But I stayed silent. Documented everything. Let her bury herself. Because now, I wasn't playing her game. I was ending it. The court ruling came down on a gray Wednesday morning. Joint custody 50-50. The house to be sold and proceeds split. No alimony. No primary parent. Just fairness. She didn't look at me as the judge read it. Her jaw tightened. Her fingers clenched. But she said nothing. She knew it was over. No tricks left. No more games. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I was exhausted. Not from the fight, but from everything it took to stay steady while she tried to burn it all down. A month later, I signed the lease on a quiet rental with a yard. Nothing fancy, but peaceful. The kids helped pick out curtains and argued over bedroom walls. We were starting over, together, and that was enough. This whole journey taught me more than I ever wanted to know about betrayal, about control, about the cost of silence. I learned that love without respect is just performance, and trust, once broken, doesn't heal with apologies. I also learned something about myself. I'm not the quiet, passive man she thought she could erase. I'm a father who stood tall when it mattered, a man who didn't seek revenge, only truth. I lost the illusion of safety, but I gained something greater: clarity, peace, and the love of my children without distortion. I am not weak. I am a father, a protector, and a man who chooses himself and his kids every single time.